I want to pick up on something that you just mentioned about funding and supporting cases where, let's say, a family is scared to go forward because of what it might do to them, or might not be in a position financially, for example, to get the justice that they deserve. And the reason why I want to pick up on that is because I remember coming to you and having a conversation with you around November last year. And I discussed with you a project that I had been working on, and it's a project about supporting black people even before we've seen many of the things that we're seeing today. And I remember you specifically telling me how great you found the idea was, and willing to back it and be behind it and so on and so forth. But I vividly remember you saying one of the biggest challenges that I will have is getting my fellow black brothers and sisters to contribute to that. So how can we actively create change out there if a kingdom divided amongst itself cannot stand, if I was to use that term? I was interviewed last week about black people coming together and fighting injustice, but my question is, how can we do that if the black brother is jealous of their fellow black brother getting ahead of them, or quote unquote ahead of them in life? Does it start with us first before we can think about engaging in conversation with the people you mentioned?
Well, you raise the nub of the issue, especially for the church, because when Jesus washed the feet of his disciples, remember, resisted by Peter, as ever, yes. But then eventually, he happily, without social distancing, washes the feet of his disciples, and he says, I have set you an example. And what does that example physically show us? He had to be on his knees. He had to take a bowl and water and wash their feet. In other words, he humbled himself and sacrificed his own position as Lord, King and Master in order to wash their feet. Here is the challenge to the churches. If there was genuine economic audit of what were the resources available to churches working together to deliver the funding needed for the program you brought to me last year, for funding the cases that we've talked about, let's thank God that we saw at the Easter weekend the UK Blessing. Beautiful. A phenomenal piece of musical artistry coming from over 30 different types of churches around the UK, and black churches and Pentecostal churches and high Anglican churches and all white churches, and you name them. A blessing which of course became the absolute trending piece of music on Easter Sunday. Wonderful. So if that can be coordinated to do a piece of music, can't we coordinate the resourcing of exactly the program that you discussed? And can't we get behind the families who feel that they're at their wits' end for pleading because nothing is coming forward to fund the case that they need to take forward? They cannot get justice for their son who was severely mishandled by a police group in whatever the occasion might have been, and it's important to secure the justice. Now, if you were to audit the accounts, I'm afraid this comes down to leaders as well, like you, or audit the accounts of everybody involved in the church in the way that follows on the Acts 2 principle that they held all things in common. And you audited the resources of the church, and you therefore made a genuine, if you say tithing amount at 10% and a gifting amount that takes you to 20%, we'd have the resources. The truth is, people don't give, they're mean-spirited and they're self-centered. And they do that saying in the name of Jesus and sticking their hands in the air. So what I'm absolutely robust about is this: if you don't put the real resources behind the things you say you believe in, you don't believe in them.
Absolutely.
And going around marching and tipping over statues and all those kind of things achieves no change. Marching is vital to express anguish. Some statues need to be removed, which are a statement of too much historic, vile behavior. But just moving things and marching won't change. Money changes things, and power positions change things. And that's what we've got to work towards.
Absolutely. Anything else?